Today's big idea. The United States had bet that helping India rise would bolster a free and stable order. And, for years, both sides invested heavily to make that happen, from the civil nuclear deal to deeper defense tech cooperation. But Ashley Tellis argues India's grand strategy, anchored in multipolar ambitions and strict strategic autonomy, is now at odds with the power politics required to balance China. The result? India will grow stronger, yet wield less influence than it expects. The core lesson is uncomfortable for New Delhi. Material growth isn't the same as usable power. India seeks a multipolar world, avoids alliances, and maintains ties with rivals like Iran and Russia, even as it partners with Washington. But that posture limits its ability to shape outcomes regionally and, given China's edge, make external balancing with the United States more, not less, necessary. So let's start with capabilities and trends. So Tellis notes India's economy underperformed for decades, about 3.5% annual growth from 1950 to 1980. It then rose to about 5.5% in the 1980s, and since the mid-90s has averaged 6.5%. That success lifted millions from poverty and made India an engine for global growth. But even this is estimated, by 2047, which is the 100th anniversary of India gaining independence, the country may still need outside partners to offset Chinese power. By mid-century, India could be the third or fourth largest economy in the world, yet still not be a superpower. Militarily, it is South Asia's strongest conventional force, but with China in the north and Pakistan to the west, New Delhi must plan against a two-front contingency. In one episode, Pakistani air defenses used Chinese supply systems to shoot down Indian aircraft, as an example. So on the China gap, because Beijing's defense burden, basically its military spending as a share of its own GDP, is lower, it can expand defense outlays with fewer penalties to growth, widening an already significant capability lead. India therefore struggles to modernize fast enough to neutralize the threat or aid other Indo-Pacific states on its own. Strategy collides with structure. So India wants multipolarity, not U.S. unipolarity, or a binding alliance. It cultivates eclectic partnerships, pushes back on U.S. positions, for example, from trade to data rules, stays in non-Western clubs like BRICS and the SCO, and even tries to keep a working relationship with China. If the world hardens into U.S.-China bipolarity, India is left awkwardly placed inside groupings where Beijing often has more sway. There's political risk with Washington too, so a more jaundiced U.S. administration could penalize India's experiments with local currency trade, meant to blunt sanctions or generally take a harder line on India's non-aligned habits. And in a truly multipolar order, India would shoulder higher financial and security burdens as U.S. provision of public goods recedes. So domestic politics matter for power. India has been a remarkable democracy. For example, they have had 18 national elections with an average turnout of around 60%. But Tellis argues the rise of Hindu nationalism and illiberalism, affecting nearly 20 million Muslims and about 30 million Christians, is eroding those liberal foundations. That heightens internal polarization, risks conflict spillovers with Bangladesh and Pakistan, and diverts resources from external power projection. So, pulling it all together, even with a bigger GDP, India's global influence could lag its material strength. A function of moderate growth, non-preferential partnerships, and illiberal drift, the practical upshot, Tellis writes, is that India will grow undeniably stronger yet wield less global sway, still needing outside support against China while resisting the alliance structures that would unlock it. So for conclusion, Tellis' bottom line is not anti-India. It's a reality check. India's grand ambitions collide with a harder map. China's lead, the demands for external balancing, and the costs of illiberalism at home. The strategic math points to deeper, but still limited, cooperation with Washington. Coupled with India's enduring refusal to join formal alliances, that mix will leave New Delhi stronger than yesterday, but shy of the influence it seeks. If you want a full argument and more of the data behind it, this essay is in this past issue of Foreign Affairs, the July-August 2025 edition. Highly recommend going and reading it. And for kind of a little bio on the author itself for this article, Ashley Tellis. She's a Tata Chair for Strategic Affairs and a Senior Fellow at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. Was a Senior Advisor to the Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs during the George W. Bush administration, and he was involved in negotiating the U.S.-Indian Civil Nuclear Agreement that we talked about in the very beginning of the episode. So there's that, and I will see you guys on the next one.